Are the Bills or the Steelers the team to beat in the AFC? And are the Jets ready to pull the plug on everything? Hey, everyone. Welcome into NFL This Week. Rob Wong, joined alongside by Paul Chapman. And Paul, what a week it was in the NFL. Some impressive victories, most notably the Bills, who handed the Chiefs their first loss of the season, and the Steelers shutting down Lamar Jackson and the high-powered Ravens offense. So now you've got the Bills at 9-2 and the Steelers at 8-2. Which of these two teams do you think has the better case to being the top team in the AFC?
Rob, sometimes you ask me some difficult questions, not this week. This one I find to be pretty easy. I think it's the Bills, and maybe it's my Bengals fandom speaking, but I'm still not that impressed with the Steelers. Derrick Henry never fumbles. Steelers got a lucky fumble there that they recovered, and Justin Tucker missed a couple of kicks, and they had a bit of a miscommunication on a 2-point conversion that would have tied the game. Now, I can't just look, Mike Tomlin's probably in the conversation as the best coach in the NFL, and Russell Wilson's done a great job managing that team. And yes, they are a run-first team, and they have a great defense. But we've seen the recent trend in the NFL is passing. That's the teams that win. It's been the Chiefs, even going back to when we've seen the other teams in recent memory, the Rams and the Buccaneers, when it was based off great quarterback play. And yes, Russell Wilson is looking much better than he did in Denver, but I don't believe that the Steelers have the kind of passing attack that can keep them in games in the playoffs. Now, we'll see if they end up with home advantage. Pittsburgh is a tough place to go through, but I think the Bills are a much more complete team. They have the escapability with Josh Allen, who can run over you. I think back to a great Mina Kimes quote that, how great is it that Buffalo actually has a real Buffalo playing quarterback for them, because he can do it all. And he's having probably his best year yet. Now, they've balanced that team well. They've filled with rookies. They've done it with trades. They've got the defense going, even though they had to let some big names go with the salary cap. So I don't particularly see this as close. I'm not writing Kansas City out of the equation either. And I still think Baltimore right there, they're a flawed defense, but their offense is the best, and if not the best in the NFL, it's right there with the Lions. So out of those two choices, I'll take the Bills every time, but I think that the Chiefs and Ravens are right there as well. And I'm not even sure I'd have the Steelers as fourth.
Yeah, hard to argue with that. There's still a long ways to go here before the end of the season, and I imagine a lot is going to change. Something that's not really changing is the New York Jets and how bad they are. It feels like every week, Paul, we're talking about them for the wrong reasons. The latest news, they've fired their GM, Joe Douglas, after 5+ seasons at the helm. I know you've been pretty much down on them for pretty much all season, and understandably so. But is it time for them to just hit the hard reset on everything?
This speaks a lot to player power, and I would love to know the conversations that went on around Joe Douglas being fired, because I believe, if we can believe stuff that we've been hearing over the last 2 years, that it was ownership's decision to go in on Aaron Rodgers. I'm not saying that other people weren't on board, but they went all in on Aaron Rodgers, and he's dictated so much from the players they've went out and made massive trades for, from firing the coach. And so was the decision to part ways with Joe Douglas, look, this was your doing. You went all in on Aaron Rodgers. It hasn't worked. You've got to pay. Or was this look, you asked me to do this and I did it, and just a disagreement between a general manager and an owner who is known to meddle from time to time. But this has been a miserable failure, and it says a lot about player power. They've spent a lot of salary cap capital. They've given up a lot of their flexibility with youth, traded now for some big contracts, even with Devontae Adams, whether Rodgers is there next year or not. They've got an older wide receiver with a big ticket. The defense has fallen right off. Obviously, Robert Saleh was the guy that had built that defense up coming from the 49ers, and they've lost that. So now they're starting from scratch. They'll be looking for a head coach. They'll be looking for a GM. And you have to believe at this point, with the dysfunction that we're seeing with the Jets, that this is going to result in a probably a top 5 pick, and with them selecting a quarterback. There's quite a few very good ones, even though maybe not quite as proven as we've seen the last couple of years in terms of quarterbacks coming out, but there's lots of great prospects. And I think this is all geared towards the Jets doing a very hard reset, getting in a rookie quarterback and starting from scratch.
Now, of course, there are a limited amount of GM and head coaching jobs in the NFL, but if you're talking about desirable destinations, this might not be one, with the dysfunction seemingly going on with the New York Jets. As always, leave your thoughts in the comments section below. For Paul Chapman, I'm Rob Wong. Thanks for watching, and we'll talk to you next week.